My friends, I am the luckiest person in the world. I was able to get Cheryl Rice for a second episode, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to have her reintroduce herself, but we left out a major piece of what the important work that she's doing today. She's a social entrepreneur, and she started a global movement. My friends, global, across the globe. My friend Cheryl, please reintroduce yourself and let's unpack that story.
Thank you, Francesca. So delightful to be with you again. Thank you for your interest. I am delighted to let you know that I am a leadership coach and speaker, and I work with women who want to be leaders in their own lives. And I'm also a social entrepreneur who started a global, really kindness and connection movement about 7 years ago in 2016 called the You Matter Marathon. No running required. So I don't want your listeners to get panicky. There's no running required. I say it's the best marathon you'll ever run, because
Right.
what we invite people to do is give out these simple cards. They're the size of a business card with only the words "You Matter" on them. And we mail cards for free to people no matter where they are in the world. And right now we've had people participate in 99 countries. And we've shared over 2 million cards, and we've had over, I think, 200,000 people participate in this. And if it would be valuable, I'd love to tell you how this came about, because to be quite honest, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners can relate, how we end up in situations we never, ever, ever imagined. So I never, ever, ever imagined I'd be leading a global movement. But I am, and it all started with one interaction I had. So with that,
Yeah. So I remember when you started that, Cheryl, because you shared a stack of those cards with
yeah,
me. I remember having lunch with you. I remember exactly where we were.
yeah,
Um, and you were just getting started on this, and you had every belief in the world, as you should,
yeah.
of how important it is. So please let's I know the story, but I want everybody else to hear the story.
So it started as somebody gave me a card with the words "You Matter" on it. It was a different design than the ones we use, but it just still had those two words. And I was so moved, I started sharing cards like that with others. And one day I was in the grocery store checkout line, and the woman behind me, the woman in front of me was telling the cashier that things were not going well for her. She said her husband was just lost his job and her son was sick. And she said, "I don't know how I'm going to get through the holidays." And
Mm.
so I didn't know what to do. I kind of froze. I thought, should I offer to pay for her groceries or ask for her husband's resume? So I didn't do anything until we were both in the parking lot returning our carts. And then I just summoned my courage, Francesca, and I went up to her and I said, I can't help but have overheard that you're going through a really hard time right now. I'd just like to give you something. And I gave her a You Matter card, this card, and she started to cry. And she
Oh.
said, "You have no idea what this means to me." And she asked for a hug.
Mm.
And then I went back to my car and I started to cry because I
Mm.
felt such power in that connection, this common humanity. And I was finishing up a program in applied positive psychology, and we needed to do a final project. And I was going to do something about positive psych and leadership. And then I was so moved by the power of my interactions with these cards that I decided to launch the You Matter Marathon. And the goal was to inspire people to give out one card a day during November, because that's the month of Thanksgiving. And I thought, well, I hope maybe we can get 10,000 cards out there, which would have been 333 people participating. And this was 2016. And lo and behold, we blew through that and we became all 50 states. And I think that first year, 14 countries. And again, the cards are free to all individuals who sign up. And now I'm proud to say we're in 99 countries and we're all year round. We're a fully operational nonprofit and we still send out cards for free. Now we do it all year. So anybody at any time can sign up at youmattermarathon.org and they'll receive 30 of these cards for free. And we just ask that you share them with others. We also have schools and groups of all kinds participate. And the impact has been significant. And we know, Francesca, what we've gone through and what we're still going through in this country, in this world, where so many people are feeling marginalized, lonely, left out, how vital, and not to mention the social unrest, injustice. We are deeply challenged. And I truly believe in my heart that if every human being knew in their bones that they mattered, we would not have these challenges. The world would be a more peaceful and joyful place.
Wow. What an incredible message. As I think about, there's so many beautiful elements to what this card does. And it helps everyone know that they want to be seen and heard. That like that's a human condition and it's okay. And we're granting that to them by just handing them this card. And what an incredible segue this is to from one of my previous episodes, and I'm going to link that in the show notes, with a mutual friend of ours, Craig Loundas, who spoke about talking with strangers and how cool it is now that we have a nice little vehicle to connect us, right? Of course, everything has to feel right. And like that beautiful example that you shared with the woman in the grocery store, what a difference you made for her that day, right?
And what a
You showed
difference.
her.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're onto something so important, Francesca. What a difference it made for her and what a difference it made for me.
Mm.
And we call it a twofer. When I remind you of your significance, I'm inherently reminding myself, I matter. I can make a difference in someone's life. And so it's about you, it's about me, it's about the we. It's about the fact that we are all interrelated, interdependent.
Right.
And it's about the us and the alchemy between the two. And that's what sharing these cards. We did a study a couple of years ago with Bucknell University on the impact of sharing these cards on the card giver. And we found that people who committed to giving out one card a day were indeed improved in terms of their life satisfaction and happiness and gratitude. We know that giving out these cards makes a difference, not just for the receivers, but for ourselves. And and I also want to offer, it doesn't have to be to a stranger. I'll tell you a brief, quick story about
Please.
a woman who this was the first year. She wrote to me and said, Cheryl, I just want to tell you how this card changed my relationship with my son. She said he was recently released from prison and we had been estranged and he was living in a halfway house. She said, I was so nervous to see him and reunite. I didn't know if we could get over all the past hurts. I gave him a You Matter card and he started to weep and we hugged. And she said, then he asked if he could have some cards that he could share with the men he was living with in this halfway house.
Wow.
So
wow.
I make no judgment. For some people, giving a card to a stranger is easy. Giving a card to their spouse is hard. For others, it's the opposite. So I don't have any judgment or expectation. I trust people completely to know who, how, when to give a card. You know, there's infinite possibilities. In fact, we're generating a list now of people's favorite, like 100 ways to share a You Matter card. Just reading that list is inspiring.
I love that you shared that, Cheryl, because it's people who we know, people who we don't know, just sharing our heart in that moment is so generous, and how lifting somebody else lifts ourselves, right? And I do follow that happiness science. I do follow, because I've taken a course in it. Like there's more when you give rather than, it's not all the money that you make. It's not the title. You think that's what where happiness is. It's truly giving.
Yes.
It's truly, having that feeling, that receptive feeling that you get when you help someone who truly needs you. Proves we are not here alone. We're here for other people. And what a beautiful conduit you've created for all of us, Cheryl.
It's been a privilege. And to build on Craig's point about strangers, Barbara Fredrickson, who is a major positive psychology practitioner and professor and researcher, talks about these micro moments of positivity resonance. So when we are interacting with people, it doesn't even have to be to change their life. It could just be the common courtesies of sharing a card with your barista at Starbucks, or the people who you interact with on a daily basis. Those
Right.
moments make us healthier and
Mm.
happier. That's what Barbara Fredrickson's work has shown. It really changes our own biology for the better, not to
Yep.
mention other people. So you can't lose when you take these chances. And I've had friends tell me who've been very introverted, carrying these cards makes them feel like they have a superpower in their pocket. And they feel like they're getting practice. They're not so shy with
Right.
strangers anymore, because there really is no such thing as a stranger. It's just a person you haven't met yet,
Mm.
who has the same hopes and dreams and sorrows and griefs
Yeah.
as you do, I do. So I believe that this is the time, and we need all of us. So many of us I think, what can I do to make the world better, to solve these intractable or seemingly intractable problems? Well, this is something everyone can do to be empowered. And unless we get this right, I think that this message about you matter is the most essential message of our time. Because how can we heal divisions if I don't believe that you matter because you vote for a different party, or you go to a different church than I do? Like, no, you matter because you're a human being.
Right.
Everybody matters. We can have differences of opinion, but
Right.
and not just everybody matters, but you matter and you matter and you matter. And me telling you matter makes me better as a human being. So I really think that there was a time when we didn't need these cards, of course, because we knew how interdependent we are. But we're now at a time in our world where every one of us needs to be reminded. And these cards are very simply a very practical and powerful tool to help us do that.
Wow. And I love that they're available for free. So let's repeat here where they can get them. And I will put the link in the show notes because it's that easy, right?
It's that easy. YouMatterMarathon.org. Sign up today. You'll get your cards within a few weeks. And then you can experience what we call the You Matter Magic. We're also on Facebook. We have a page and a group where people share their stories. And it's really a lovely community to be in, because people tell me they love hearing the stories as much as they love sharing cards. So once a month, we send out a You Matter story that was submitted by somebody who shared a card. And they're very uplifting. I mean, it keeps me
Sure.
going.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine. I just know from the feelings that I get in talking about it. So just reading more stories will help solidify the importance of this. And look at that. It has traction in a time when we need it most, right? So congratulations to you, Cheryl, because like I said, I knew you when it was just a thought in your head and you were carrying these cards and you were just determined and you knew. So what a beautiful story you've shared with us today, and making it easy for us to support other people, to support ourselves. And I know you wear a You Matter bracelet that we talked about in the last episode. So let's start on this journey with you, Cheryl. Thank you so much for your time. I'll put those links in the show notes. You have such a beautiful, incredible message, and I can't wait to see you in person and give you a big hug.
Thank you, Francesca. You matter.
Yep.